proud of myself. Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt. Welcome to another session of Paladins. This is session 9. We are coming up on the last sort of arc of this campaign, and I've just had such a blast running this game for these fine players, and I am both excited to see it come to its conclusion and also sad to know that it is going to be wrapping up soon. This is going to be our last session of this year. We do have 2 or 3 sessions more that we're going to see in 2021, but for now, this is going to be our pre-holiday sort of season finale of sorts. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for watching. I do want to, because I have not harped on about it enough, there is a Mecha Hack Kickstarter happening right now for a follow-up to the book mission manual. There is a link down in the description for that Kickstarter. Definitely go check it out. Even if you're watching this after the fact, after the Kickstarter has ended, you can go down there and find how to get into the pledge banner, pre-order the book if you missed the Kickstarter. So definitely check it out. I'm going to do a brief recap, and then we're just going to jump right into the session for this evening. So last time on Mecha Hack Paladins, the Paladins officially retook the world of Infernus, the home world of our own Paladin 3s, otherwise known as Pax Bastion. Almost as soon as Pax managed to wrest control of Infernus from his good-for-nothing cousin, he immediately turned over control of the world to the people, putting his uncle in charge as a temporary regent and entrusting him with an election process that would grant the people governance of this integral world to Lodestar Alpha. Upon doing so, the Paladins also looked into where they wanted to go next. And the overall consensus was that it was finally time to head to Warwick Station, the mysterious second wing of the Paladins program, as it were. And upon making that decision, we left the Paladins there, and we're going to see what occurs next tonight. We open on a debris-strewn battlefield in space. Explosions blossom in the background. The void is alight with beam weaponry, the flashes of gunfire, the thrusters of Mecha. We see two Mecha clashing atop an asteroid. Their silhouettes are sleek, angular, jet-like. Paladin Raptor and Paladin Warhawk dueling. They clash, thrust away, and clash again, each time with the immense power behind every strike of their Paladin suits. We see inside the cockpit of Paladin Warhawk this face inside the helmet, familiar and yet strange to us, so like Mora and so dissimilar at the same time. Warhawk is sweating. He is gritting his teeth together as he pushes his Paladin to its very limits. And as he goes in for the kill on Paladin Raptor, we see blood coming from his nose, leaking out of his ears. His eyes bloodshot as blood vessels burst. And still he loses. Again he loses. Again and again and again. We find ourselves outside this simulator, loaded with the battle data from the Battle of Infernus. This officer, this one we know looks like Saxifrage, yet younger, scarred. She stands in her crisp uniform, watching the data from the simulation. And as Warhawk dies again, she turns her eyes downcast in disappointment. The attendant running the simulator says, "Director Calypso, he's pushing the Geist and himself well beyond its limits. We need to unplug him or risk a stroke or brain hemorrhage." Calypso shakes her head. "One of the Paladins has achieved perfect synchronization with the Geist system. Keep him in there until he has done the same." The attendant says, "Director, all due respect, if we lose him, we lose our chance to rekindle Project Halberd. He's all we have." Calypso brushes a hand against the Geist system plug on the back of her neck. "He is not our last chance. Keep him in there and set a course for Warwick." She turns on her heel and strides out of the room. We cut and we're aboard the Okami on the bridge. The Okami approaches a sea-shrouded world dotted with islands. It's like this blue marble with little specks of land all over it. holo display shows the name of this planet, Agonor. The coordinates included on that data crystal. The camera pans around and we see the Paladins seated at their stations here on the bridge. Let's start with Zasha. What is Zasha doing here? What would she be doing as the Okami approaches its destination?
I think at this point in the grand scheme of things, Zasha is feeling a little like a nerve sticking out of concrete. Nervous, quick on the draw, quick to a hot temperature, quick to be upset. Just everything seems so sharp and jagged. So I'm imagining Zasha is sitting at one of these control panels on the bridge, just punching in different scans, over and over, cycling through different things, just looking to see what the next thing they step into is going to be. Almost with this manic persistence, like she's been doing it the whole time over here, convinced that something else is going to happen, that the sword is going to drop.
The camera rotates around and we see Pax, Paladin 3's. What would he be doing on the bridge upon the Okami's approach?
Looking for my mute button.
The elusive mute
button. I think that he would just be going through last-minute checkups with Infernus, making sure everything is being settled there with a little bit of time. So he'd probably have like several different vid feeds up at the same time, talking with people. I was thinking about this earlier, but I imagine that like his family still has like estates that are separate from like the actual governance. So he'd probably be working on deals to like sell those off to make sure that he could get the money that he promised everybody. So talking with like investors and all that other stuff, all that last minute jazz.
Cool. Yeah, you're on like black market eBay. You're like gently used Space Manor, like best offer, serious offers only. Yeah, and you're getting intel from Infernus, regular updates from your uncle. There's still fights here and there across the surface of the planet, but any sort of resistance is quelled pretty quickly, and the old guard is quickly either dying out or joining up with this new regime, as it were, this new dawn for the world of Infernus. What about Tulip? As the camera pans around, where do we find Tulip, and what is she doing? Oh, you're muted, Matt. You were like, I suspected as much.
Yes.
There we go.
Mute, my old friend. Tulip would be continuing what she was busy with in secret for a time. As revealed in the credit sequence after our last game, she was fighting over and over again the Battle of Infernus, trying to see if there were simulated results or Mattie's Geist system did not go into a berserker state. And she's done it enough times that it's kind of like the sequence in Dragon Ball Z when they go into the hyperbolic time chamber. Like, she is working away at understanding not only the mechanics of her frame, but also just finally like really chewing off combat in a serious way, like she did when they were still in training before all of this started. And she would be standing on the top of the chest of the Paladin Rain, clinking away with a wrench, soot on her face. If someone was to see her, they would notice that her hair, previously tied back in a ponytail, always under that oversized green military cap. Well, the cap is gone, and her hair has been buzzed to a 1. It is very short. She seems to have taken a pair of goggles of the many from Mattie's engineering kit, an older pair, not preferred pair that was probably tossed away. And she would have strapped it around her head, replacing the hat that was iconically Tulip. So she looks very different as she stands, and she stands a little bit taller. She almost looks like she literally grew. As she turns ahead to whoever would walk into the hangar, and I'm not putting this on anyone, but whoever would come into the hangar first, she would shout, "New recipe! Check it out!" And the same way she's cooked so many meals on like a radiator from a giant robot, there is a steaming basket of steam buns. And it's a new recipe. She managed to whip this up while she was in the crunch. So she is firing on all cylinders, and that's Tulip.
All right, now as we're all craving bow, I would ask who enters the hangar. Would it be Mattie or would it be Mora?
I'd volunteer for that. I think I think that I would. So Mattie is actually currently sort of in a rush with some kind of like box, like really like chunky box with like a lot of like unnecessary lines on it, and like it's like very like plastic and heavy. And he is like, he walks through the hangar and like goes into a door and then backpedals as he hears about the new recipe, and sort of gets walking backwards, looks over to the steam buns and, consumes quite a few, takes one for the road, and then would, sort of look at Tulip and say, "Oh, I like the hair," and goes off into a discreet little area where there's like a data station, and which he's been using for all kinds of things, like finding a lot of the information from like the crystal and other files that Pax has found. And he takes out this big plastic cube, and we sort of flash back a little bit to the liberation of Infernus, where there are these where these Matrix Reloaded-esque parties, raves happening in the streets and in the humid corners of this mining planet, and where Mattie has found himself and is enjoying his presence as a hero, but also just trying to dance and sweat away the bad vibes of the previous battle. As he does so, we sort of we hear nothing. Maybe it's we can't hear over the din of the music and the crowds, but we see that he is chatting up some, handsome looking gentleman, and sort of over the crowd, we hear yelling like, "What do you do? Oh, the News Corps and information." And they we cut to, they're stumbling through the streets of Infernus. The young man that he is with later goes into this building and pulls out this plastic case, brings it to Mattie, and Mattie takes his hand and leads him into an alley across the street. We then cut back into this sort of data entry, this data place, and he opens up this plastic case with a big, and he basically starts loading in what are these like heavy space microfiches, and he is and he is kind of going through them, and it's all stuff about the Jai family, and trying to basically get news about them, what they're up to, what news they have made. As we're going through this, we're seeing sort of headlines that are even from the past, which are about like charity benefits. We see this man with a sash and this very severe looking woman next to him, at all of the, that they are major members of the Dominion, that they are raising money for the war effort and all kinds of stuff. It's very Rumfeller-esque stuff happening here. And he is just concentrating on that intently as he is eating bao.
And I would just add the small note that as she is cranking a bolt with that wrench and the comment comes in about the hair, she pretends like she doesn't hear it, but there's like a slight flush on the cheek and she smirks.
Back on the bridge, we see Mora. If Mora is on the bridge, what would Mora be doing? How would we find him as the Okami approaches this planet?
Question, actually. Let's put him in he's in an auxiliary console room, private data center.
Yeah.
And his face is awash in this purple light. And he's wearing this kind of like this translucent glove that has some load steel data chips in the thumb and forefinger, and he's sitting there, swipe, and the image changes. The Warhawk head that has been scanned and is currently in the hangar, he swipes and now it's dissected, and he points a couple of fingers and it enhances to a specific part. He's looking right now at the auxiliary motivator, but he switches quickly over to the fuel transformer, and he kind of just like zooms in and opens it. He sees some damage that he himself caused, and he simulates the repair of the damage so he can get a full readout of what the Warhawk is capable of in its fullest capabilities. And then he swipe. And then you see this face of a person go by, and he swipes past it, but then he stops, swipes back, and it's him. It's himself. So alike, but so different. There's something different in this Mora's eyes. And he would start, after a long moment of just kind of staring at himself, he would shake it off, and he would, press a couple imaginary buttons in thin air, and the head would start rotating so he wouldn't have to look him in the eyes. And he, after a long moment, would start scanning the systems of the Warhawk head and dig deeper to see if he could find any sort of other code words, any other names of people, any information whatsoever to explain who Warhawk is, but also who Mora is.
I have to ask before I answer your query. Did you use the technobabble tables from Mission Manual?
I did.
Awesome. There are technobabble tables in Mission Manual, so you can say things like the fuel transformer, the exhaust manifold, like whatever. Yeah. Whatever
I imagine the fuel transformer like turns one chemical into another, and the chemical reaction. Like I'm into it.
Yep. Absolutely. So as you're scrubbing through this code, you would find several mentions of Warwick Station. you would find a lot about Project Halberd, a similar coding that you would find in one of your Paladins. Almost exact, actually. Almost like they were all based on the same hardware and software when they were put together. The Warhawk is much like you, Mora, similar but also different at the same time. There are slight differences in this code, things that push it a little further, that make it a little bit more dangerous to pilot but a little bit more effective in combat. Safety protocols that have been stripped away to allow for more dangerous maneuvers and G-forces. And there is actually one thing that kind of sticks out to you, and as you read it, there's like a flash of blue glowing liquid and stainless steel. The word is Omega 9. You don't know why, but that is like a little flash of deja vu.
Is there any way I can record it? Is there any way, is there a memory that accompanies it that I could write down, or a feeling of a place that I've been?
You can...
I can roll too.
No, you can... The memory that you would experience, again, it's vague, buried deep somewhere in your mind, something you've probably pushed away and tried to forget. But you would remember being with other children, playing with other children, fighting with other children. As you're going over this code, Mora, back on the bridge, Zasha, you are going over these scans of this planet that you're approaching, Agonor, and you think you found Warwick Station. You think you found the facility. It took some searching, but there's very, very little on this planet, and you think that this structure that you've just discovered might be where you need to go.
So I'll punch into the ship-wide broadcast from the bridge and just... I think I found it, Commander. Warwick Station ahead.
The red light that's flashing in front of Mora it just blinds him for a second in this purple glow, and he swings his hand and the lights in the whole room turn on, and he grabs it and he says, "I'll be right there." And he gets up and moves.
Does everyone else head to the bridge if you're not already there?
Yes, yeah. I would definitely. It would take me a while to pull myself away from the microfiche, but I would definitely go back.
I think we'd bump into each other on the way, and Mora might ask you, Mattie.
Mm-hmm.
Just some time ago, I heard you say the words, "This place fucking rules," when we were being held up by Governor Janice Holbrook.
Yes. Yes.
If you had asked me then, you seemed like you would have stayed there forever.
I would have, and there's part of me that wishes that I was there now. It's beautiful and far away from the worries of all this.
He kind of looks down while walking, maybe up the final stairs to the bridge, but his face is very. You see this nostalgia there, like he wants to go back but can't. And he snaps out of it and he says, well, I suppose it'll always be waiting for us.
Yeah, I think we do owe Janice a favor. That's on our past. We just have to keep moving forward. And
I don't think Janice is the kind that'll let us move forward if we don't repay his
if you
favor.
think he's gonna leave his little ivory tower, no, we could just come back. Well, you know what? We'll figure that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I hope so.
Hey, Zasha, what's cooking?
She says, I'm cleaning my dice tray. No. Yeah.
I didn't realize you were a gambler, Zasha.
She actually has the hologram set up to display the topography in and around the station, wherever it may be. Is it actually planet bound, or is it a flying station?
Yeah, it's actually mostly subterranean, which was somewhat surprising when you found it, and one of the reasons it was so hard to detect. It's built inside one of the volcanoes that dot this planet. It's mostly volcanic islands that sort of riddle the ocean of this world.
So she'll relay that by saying, I'm getting extraordinary heat readings, Commander. It's probably built inside the volcano. I don't know how deep.
He would ask whoever among you would know the answer. Can lodesteel survive volcanic conditions?
I might know this. Is that now that symbol from the narrator? Is that just like your best guess is mine?
Run with it, yeah.
Can lodesteel survive volcanic conditions? Under the right treatment, you need you need a treatment of certain alloys that coat the lodesteel, which allow the reflection of the heat. But it is ideal for processing.
Mora nods. How do we get down there?
So Zasha has found two possible entrances. One, fairly obvious. There's a landing pad visible from the surface that leads into the interior of the volcano. But there's also an exhaust vent underwater that is used for venting excess heat from the station that is large enough to try to sneak into. Based on Zasha's scans, it seems like the landing bay is probably safer but a lot more obvious, and the exhaust vent is a lot more dangerous but completely inconspicuous.
And I'll totally roll for this if need be, but through the scans, does it seem that there's any place on the surface of the facility that would be crippled or compromised by the armaments aboard the Okami, like from orbit?
That's a good question. I would say that because you don't know how deep the facility is, it would be difficult to gauge whether you could break into the surface of the volcano using the armament of the Okami to get into the base.
I was just gonna say, and that would kind of be an interesting conversation to occur naturally between Zasha and Tulip, as she grew up in a place called the Subterrane, which was essentially an underground civilization in heavily armored cities underground. So she would arrive to the bridge around when you're speculating if you do it out loud.
Whenever I punch up the topography and I'm like gauging the blast resistance of this stone, it's granite and marble, whatever, alien world, I would probably end up saying that most of this facility has to be underground. Where is Tulip? And then you underground. You think we can break this? And I'm like pointing in the hologram.
Not with one shot. I know you're used to that now.
Oh, surely there's like a little chimney that threes can shoot inside of, and it will just destroy
I
the entire
knowingly
dang
look at
planet.
threes.
And she'll say, she'll basically repeat what Matt said, but kind of based on the technobabble of the geography of the rock, and it's more dependable than you think, especially on planets like this one, and it's going to take more than some heavy artillery.
Way that I see it, Commander, we have 3 options. The exhaust vent here, bleep, and it makes a little red dot that like lingers in the hologram. The landing bay here, bleep, where everyone will see us with party hats on long before we get there. Or we can make one hell of a racket and just let them come to us. Bleep, and then like little red dots pop up everywhere. She's just like bleep, bleep, bleep.
Do we have a sense? Sorry, I might have missed this. Do we have a sense of how guarded this place is? Is there activity in there?
And we like read for life. Yeah.
Also, did we travel alone?
You did
Come on, Matt.
travel alone. You left behind all your handy Bastion House Mecha back on Infernus. But Zasha, if you want to give me a system test at disadvantage to try and differentiate reactor signatures from the intense heat of the volcano.
Disadvantage would be a 20.
Oh, dang.
So no.
Good. The heat from the volcano is so intense that it's difficult to tell what exactly is going on inside the facility.
Commander, they've got to be using the heat from all of this as a power source. Chances are they're not doing anything with solar because of all the radiation. These clouds of smoke probably covering up a lot of the facility. I don't think that we have very many options but to explore kind of as we infiltrate.
And at that point, Tulip would chip in and say, well, if the power system is geothermal, the veins will be heavily protected, but they'll also be our safest bet. They're not going to create a dangerous firefight in a place like that. It'll bring down the whole facility.
Now, surely we're not going to be exploring inside of our Mecha. I mean,
And also keep in mind, Tulip, that load steel could have been treated to with what Mattie was talking about with the.
It's a very complicated process.
Jargon, very complicated process, and so we don't have any idea what this place is capable of.
Threes would chime in and say, before we do any of this, I just want to clarify, what exactly is our objective here?
Appropriate.
It's a great question.
Finding information.
Yeah, great question. And you're not exactly sure what you're going to find here, but you know that it might lead to greater revelations about what exactly the Paladins program is and how you all are involved.
And can I try to answer the question to what is our objective here? I think Mora would, after a moment, say, you were never kids. I was promised kids. I was told that I was going to help a group of kids take my experience, how little it may have felt at the time, and take all of these things that I was taught or learned the hard way and could form the most elite squad the Dominion had to offer. I was promised kids. But you were never kids. None of you. That's why I was so wrong. That's why I did so bad at first. You're my comrades. Now, I'll leave it to all of us to decide how we go about taking this place out. And I trust you, and he looks at Zasha. I trust you to let us know what the safest routes are, but I don't think we should bring them to us. I think we should go down there and try to figure out who we are why they're doing this to kids.
A lot of the plan that we had when we first were looking for the Okami, it revolved around us being an unbreakable spear, in a sense. That's what you were saying, Threes. The resources and the technology at our hands. But if they've copied and pasted us here too, and she kind of looks at Mora, if they have people down there with the equipment and the skills that we have, it's only a matter of time before they undo everything we're trying. We have to at least figure out what they're doing.
Well, so this is exactly why I'm asking about our objective. Let's say we go down there and we find exactly what we suspect. There's a group of kids who are either clones like us or who have been brought in like us and trained for months or years to be soldiers. Nothing we say is going to convince them that they should stop what they're doing. Our only options are to kill them and destroy this location, or to just leave it as is. Do we have the right to do what people did to us and enforce our opinion on all of these people?
Well, I mean,
Good question.
if we find people like us in there, I mean, listen, if they could even manage to copy another Mattie Jai, first of all, the notion's ridiculous. But second of all, I would say that, listen, this experience is very unique to all of us, and we all know the feelings that we bring in from that experience. Surely there are others just like us who are struggling with the reality of their situation, the manipulation, the mutilation. I think that if we can get in there on the ground level, not, maybe calling in the Paladins in the last second if we need them, but we can get in there, find out who's there, maybe our numbers can even grow.
I just want to point out, Mattie, that there will be a difference between us. We were kind of kidnapped in a way by my father's organization that split off from the Empire. These kids are in the proper place with the proper trainers. They're not like us. We're rebels. They're actually in the military.
Mora would throw up Warhawk on the screen, on the hologram screen. What are you talking about? Look at him. Look at me.
Yes.
They could be more of us. We could stop this right now. Exactly like Mattie is saying. We could. Hell,
Just
maybe
because
we
you're
talk to
sitting
them.
here, Commander, does that mean that I should kill the other you? Does his life not matter?
No, because he tried to kill the commander.
It's true. They think he kind of started it, but I say that we give them I say that if we have the opportunity, we give them the choice. We make the choice very clear. I think we've made the choice very clear from here on out. This is a campaign to end war, and you cannot do that by merely being absent from those sacrifices. We all have to make those sacrifices. We have to decide here and now, where do we draw the line in the sand? And we can say, join us or die.
Or die?
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Tulip would just chime in briefly and to direct it at Threes, and would say, Regael had the chance to put down the mask. You did that. But I think we did that too. We should give them the same opportunity. If they'll take it. We won't know until we try. They're right.
Yeah. I'm just saying our situations are not... What happened to us and what is happening to them are just different. If I were in their position and you came to me and told me that I would betray the Empire to join a rebellion, I would shoot you in the face.
But you decided to not shoot us.
Because I was a rebel, just like you. I was made into a rebel, which completely changed my options.
Paxton, I
didn't have a choice.
I assume that you just won the freedom of your planet with diplomacy? No.
No.
You won the freedom of your planet in blood and steel.
Mm-hmm. But then I gave them all the choice of what to do with the ashes.
That's all I'm saying, too. We give them the choice. That's what they deserve. It's the one thing they haven't had. That's the one thing that joins us to their experience. Neither of us was given the choice. Do you think the Neo-Dominion gave them a choice? Yes, we're part of some secret cabal, some conspiracy, but their fate is not that much different than ours. We will see the difference. We will see what is the same in each other by this choice. And if they prove to be different, if they prove to put themselves on the other side of the line, then at least we gave them fair warning.
My father got my mother killed because he decided to enforce his opinion on how war should be handled and turned us into what we are because of his opinion. I don't think I'm going to make that same mistake. I'm going to go with you guys, and I'll keep funding you, but I haven't found the right path yet, and I don't think telling someone to either think like me or they die is the right choice either.
What is your end in all of this, Pax? What do you hope to get out of this campaign? Are you merely an observer, some purse to give us money for our goals? What is it that you seek then? Because I thought it was clear that we were here to stop this.
I've been who I've been the entire time. I'm a bastion, which means I'm here for the people. This facility is potentially a threat to everybody, and I'm here to determine what that threat level is. However, I'm not just going to go in there and just start killing innocent people because they don't happen to agree with me.
No, I don't want to. I'm not going to. I don't want needless slaughter. But what I will say is I will destroy this facility. This facility.
And how are the people going to get out?
We give them the opportunity. And they either leave or they die. And that's their choice. And they can either come upon our ship or they can find their own way. But it will be their own way and it will be their choice.
I'm just
I
saying.
think letting them on the ship would be a high security risk.
I'm willing to take that bet.
I'm not.
I'm willing to cross that bridge when we get there.
As the arguing starts to pick up and it's even more inconsistent, instead of being like guys don't fight, as Tulip has done all season, she just tosses the soot covered rag like over her shoulder and kind of turns around and starts walking towards the archway and says distantly to everybody, well, I'm pretty confident we're going to find out along the way. If none of us know, admit it. Let's go try to save some lives. And if not, we'll be saving lives in the future. But either way, it's time to be paladins. We still have to find out what that means together. And she's not really sticking around for argument, but she's walking towards the rain frame.
I feel like Mora would say, "You heard the captain."
Threes would just say, the gun only has one purpose. It kills people. If we go down onto that surface, we are all weapons. People are going to die.
We can
I just
do
wanted
this.
to make sure you guys all knew why you were going to go down there and kill people.
Let's just leave the
And
guns
he
at
would start
home.
walking out.
No, maybe let's just go.
I've been a gun since I was 7 years old, like just waxing philosophical. What are paladins? Like as the door closes behind us.
Hmm. Oh. You're muted, Matt.
Man, okay, it had been a while since I said anything. That was great. So from here, we have a few options. You all know, based on Zasha's scans, that you will likely need your paladin suits to get into the base, but you will likely have to traverse the base itself on foot. You have, as Zasha laid out, the landing pad or the exhaust vent, or the third option, try and crack it open from a distance and draw out any enemies. I, of course, leave the final decision to all of you, but what are we thinking?
I think the exhaust vent. That would be Mora's opinion.
Out of character, the exhaust vent is by far the most stable of the options
And cooler.
and the least likely to spark off a fight.
I just want a Gundam Wing grappling hook. Can we all put that in the budget?
You all have one. You all got a grappling hook that you can, and all of you are wearing Hero UE bike shorts for some reason.
No, I just want one of those umbrella parachutes that he used in like the second episode.
I forgot about those with the little
laser umbrella
with the
parachute.
little foot holder thing. Oh my god!
Uh-huh.
Adding laser umbrella parachutes to the technobabble list.
Yes.
There you go. So the exhaust vent. That's great. The Okami descends on the planet of Aganor. You see from orbit the beautiful blue and green of its seas, and these numerous sort of archipelago-style islands just covering the surface of the world. On one of these, on one of the larger ones, set into the volcano, is Warwick Station. You keep Okami at a distance so as not to trip any sort of sensors or radar before you get close enough, but eventually you're able to dive down under the water with the Okami because it is amphibious as well, because it is such a high-tech vehicle. And you get within a few kilometers of the station, but you know that you won't be able to take the Okami much closer than that without it being detected by sonar. So how do you want to proceed from here?
Speaking of sonar, before we proceed, do we detect any life forms in this aquatic region? I know there wouldn't be very many, if any, at the volcano, but in the water.
Mm-hmm. You do detect that there is sea life on this planet. There is actually large life readings similar to those of whales that you imagine populate the seas of this world.
So I would say, when we decide to move, we should probably move together. School as though we are just one of the fish.
Smart.
So, where are we parking?
Pew pew, right there.
Yeah, right.
We found a great spot on the ocean floor.
On the ocean floor.
1.4 clicks from
The
where we're
starfish
going.
lot. Yeah.
A crab moves out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm down to do like a ripple sonar effect from the ocean floor, just kind of to get a read. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
As we approach closer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You actually, well, go ahead and give me a system check if you would.
Yeah. Picked the wrong person.
You're like, I should have just shut up.
Can I loan Tulip my stat?
I don't know that's how that works. No, I failed.
So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of coral formations under the sea here, and then there's the just the large structure of the volcano itself, which kind of rises up out of the ocean floor. But there's at least nothing moving that you can detect, Tulip.
Okay. Tulip would report, all's clear as far as I can tell.
And I think Mora, upon that, would scan for some sort of enemy defenses, maybe some sort of lasers or like a tripwire of sorts. Is there anything? Maybe he can make a system check and see if he finds something.
Yeah, system check at disadvantage since you're going to be scanning into the volcano as well.
Yep, that's exactly. Yep.
Barker's like, listen, I wrote a lot of aquatic enemies for this book. I want to make sure we're not running into any of them.
I know. I want to see what. Yeah. Okay. So I succeeded at the first roll. Here's the second roll. I failed.
Okay.
It's just like fuzzy.
You
and
at least can tell that there's no reactor signatures leading up to the volcano. No energy readings of any kind until you get to the volcano itself, and then from there it's just intense heat. It's hard to discern anything from anything else.
Damn, Mora says. Can't read through the volcano.
I give a sympathetic glance. Yeah. I take this opportunity to, as I've well established this whole time, Zasha always wears a spacesuit regardless, afraid that the cockpit's going to blow open during her shenanigans and kill her instantly. So she's actually strapping on all kinds of other gear, on-foot gear that we might need that she can actually affix to her suit comfortably and still pilot. She's taking the assault weapon that we actually escaped our original home installation with.
Cool. She's
oiled it up and taken good care of it this whole time. So she straps that on and gets little comm link, some things like that.
It's actually a good idea, JB. Why don't we let's all describe if we're bringing any special gear on this mission, since we are going to be out of the mechs. Anything of note that you would be bringing? Let's see. So JB just went. Barker, are you bringing anything? Oh, go ahead, JB.
Specifically, I'll say that the only special equipment that I'll be bringing are a couple of blast charges in case we need to make a hasty exit and have no key.
Cool.
I don't want a door to be the thing that stands between us and our mechs and getting the hell out of here.
Smart. What about Mora?
I'm assuming this fusion grenade is mecha-sized.
Yeah, but since you all spent some credits on consumables, we'll say that you could have a pilot-sized fusion grenade.
Excellent.
Can I bring a CK90 fusion cell?
Yes. Yep. You got it.
Sure. God, no, we don't need that anywhere near us.
We're gonna need a bigger volcano. So Mora holds up this just orb, this I don't know, stainless load steel. It's dumb. And it ignites in this blue light, and then he deactivates it and it equips it back to the bandolier.
What about Mattie?
Well, first and foremost, a tactical romper. Second, then following that, there's like this really chunky backpack that has medical supplies, and a like very strange looking helmet with like a little eyepiece on it that actually has like little cables that can like zzz out and like plug into things for like systems stuff, and maybe like he might relent and take this. Actually, he actually not even he actually just takes it without any protest. He takes a sidearm of some kind, and we will pilot size his sensor jammer.
Cool. Noted. What about Pax? What do you bring in?
So in a lot of the episodes that we've had so far, Pax has had like a thing of weapons that he's constantly cleaning.
Yeah.
So I just imagine that like underneath his like spacesuit or whatever, his pilot suit, that he has on like a tactical vest with like a like pistol strapped on, assault rifle strapped on the back, like a thing of like additional clips. Like he's going in as if like this is going to be a war zone, and has like pretty much the standard like military like armaments that one would carry, a backpack with like additional provisions and that kind of stuff. And everybody, I assume, has like a comm link inside their helmet or something, so he doesn't need to bring any of that stuff.
You guys have an easy way to communicate for sure. All right, what about Tulip?
Tulip would have taken this kind of handheld, almost like a flare gun, but it loads a single piece of ammunition that is a arc grenade, and she'll be bringing that at her holster. It's basically just a really chunky pistol by the looks of it, with a very tubular barrel, and you just see the basically I'm buying an arc grenade for the sake of it, and yes, and I thought, as a neat possibility, if I do the one-shot module, can I go for a booster and have a jetpack?
Yeah. Listen, you're speaking my language. Anything jetpack, I'm in.
Right on.
The list of shit that I love is like mechs is number 1 and jetpack is just right there, like 1.5, 2, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Right on. So you just see the kind of like a helper automaton that was a hover-based machine that assisted in the Paladin hangars. Is just like stranded in the middle of the table, surrounded by buns and noodles and hedgehogs kind of rolling around on the table, and its little mono-eye is just like skirting across, kind of stuck in place, unfortunately. Woo! And Tulip just chimes from the top of the hangar deck, hanging out of the hatch of the Paladin. I'll bring it right back, I promise. She attaches the 2 feet to the bottom of a backpack unit in this ever modular mecha world.
Awesome. I love it. So with everyone appropriately kitted out, you disembark from the Okami and out into the water. The Okami is designed to be amphibious. It's designed to operate and deploy underwater. And so rather than using these catapults, it instead quickly floods each hangar in quick sequence and then opens the doors to allow them to basically step out of the hangar and into the seafloor from the bottom of the Okami rather than the top. So you all deploy in a matter of a couple of minutes, and it's this strange, you've spent so much time in space and now you're underwater with this intense pressure surrounding the suit, and you almost feel that pressure from inside. You feel how close the air is. Your ears are popping as you disembark and prepare to approach this facility. You actually see that volcano in the distance, this kind of hazy mountain under the water, maybe a couple of clicks from your current position. Any special orders or anything like that you'd like to give Mora before the team sets out?
Mora does the standard squad check in. Paladin 1, Mora ready.
Now I'm like, what order are we in?
I don't know. I just took the
I'll
first.
do Zasha
Decide
already.
right now.
I'll take point, Commander. And like, all these lights cut on the front of this big boxy mech.
That's dope.
Yeah, Tulip's eyes also explode into their bright solar orange underwater, and you just hear the warbled sound of the machine coming to life. And as the water started to fill the cockpit, you would, not visible to anyone else, privately, Tulip would take a deep gulp and just say to the machine, as if it were going to answer her, I've never swam before. Here goes. Paladin Rain takes off. The wing binders expand outwards, this time serving as hydro propellers.
Hell yeah.
Paladin Vogue will, of course, do the standard color cell calibration. They kind of sort of turns into these different rainbows of pixels as it settles into its usual blue and gold hue, and the smooth aerodynamic interlocking curved plates of this mech, they all sort of lock in, creating this spheroid shape as the mech gets ready to basically just cannonball and make it, but trying to give itself as smooth of an entry as possible without making too much of a splash. And as it's kind of spinning, it goes completely invisible. It's fine. And he would say, Mattie J, Paladin Vogue, going dark.
Threes would be going through the typical system checks, making sure, because as soon as we probably get into the water, he'd realize that his system is kind of operating on space and not for, let alone land, but aquatic stuff. So he'd be going through the calibrations. And then as soon as he hears Paladin Raptor's voice come over the stream, he would just almost offhandedly say, "Three's ready," kind of.
Am I the only Paladin with a number? I'm just Paladin 1 and everyone else is their call sign?
No, I did too.
Oh, you
I'm
did? I
with
didn't hear
you,
that.
Barker.
This is very much in line
all
with
I heard
this
from
group.
you was that you were going to the front. What?
This is very much in line with the group dynamic, whereas
I think so too, yeah.
Zasha definitely
It
follow the structure, and
It's
then it
way
kind
better
of
is what I
gets a
think.
little bit away from
Threes
us.
follows the structure by design because
I was just gonna say, Tulip
Right.
gets very confused as she comes up third.
It was going to be funny
Paladin 8.
if Threes was like, Paladin 4, Paladin 3's standing behind.
I just
Couldn't
would
we
like
have
to-
done color? And then you look at Vogue and Rain, and they're both
I thought we
blue.
were doing Greek letters.
No, we did names. We did neon threes. Mora, shut up. What are you changing the game on us for?
I just wanted to confirm that I'm actually going to change my sidearm pistol for a katana. That's it.
Okay, good to know. We're going full weeb in this episode, everybody.
Hey, I'm not wearing a trench coat. Leave me alone.
I have neither a fedora nor a trench coat, so we have this katana. You get one of those three on foot missions. It's actually a rule in the book. you approach this this massive installation, and all of you get heat readings as soon as you get close to it. And at one point, as you near this sort of tunnel-sized exhaust vent, there's a venting of heat and energy from it that manifests in this like torrent of bubbles and like boiling liquid that just like fires out in a column and then is gone in an instant. And all of you get a warning klaxon from that, and sort of take mental note of like, cool, we have to watch out for that. But as we approach this tunnel, I was thinking we might do a quick bio break if folks are interested. So we're going to take a quick break, 2-3 minutes, and then come right back. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Stick around. We will be right back. BRB. No, you're not. You're in the
No,
same spot. You're
hey.
good.
Thank
I
God.
thought you
Now-
would be too.
So now, JB, because you are the last video
Because I was the
slot,
last,
you
yep.
can turn your camera on and off as much as you want, and it doesn't matter. You get crazy with it. Hey, everybody, we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. So you are approaching this this tunnel, and the exhaust vent has gone off a couple of times as you've approached, and anyone who has timed it has realized that the interval is about 30 to 45 seconds between each blast of vented heat from this exhaust vent. You've also calculated that the heat is not enough to melt you outright, but it would hurt if your mecha was standing in the tunnel when the vent went off. As you approach the tunnel, I'd like whoever was point, I believe that was Paladin Neon. Go ahead and give me a system test, if you would, please.
Yes. Success. I rolled a 10. My system's 11 now. Yeah.
There you go. That 11, baby. As you get close to the tunnel, we'll say the tunnel is about far distance from you now. You detect several energy signatures inside the tunnel. They are stationary, but you imagine that there are some automated defenses stationed inside the tunnel.
So I'll, when we're in space and we're piloting around and keeping track of each other's positions, I'm imagining that there's this almost three-dimensional kind of display. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ping all of those that I see and send them back to everybody behind me, so that when they look on that three-dimensional display of where they're going, they'll see bloop, 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 bloop. These little lights kind of click up for this target meter. Be like, probably automated defenses, maybe active, maybe inactive, I don't know.
The tunnel itself is wide enough for probably two of the paladins to stand shoulder to shoulder. But I would ask, if you are going to enter, who's going first and what the marching order is going to be.
You want
I was gonna
maybe-
follow Neon probably.
Yeah, me and Tulip will go in first.
Okay.
That way we can have choices on how we react.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I assume everyone else coming up behind, maybe three's in the back.
Sounds about right.
But that's, well, yeah, with the sniper rifle. That's usually how it goes, but I guess now we're in tight quarters. So let me know if you want to switch it up at all. But so you enter this tunnel, and at about here, pull up this thing. You first notice that the tech here, there's no obvious like sigils or emblems or banners or anything like that. Everything is completely nondescript, Spartan steel. The tech is advanced from what you can tell, but undoubtedly Neo, just stripped of all signifiers of allegiance of any kind. The conduits, the cabling, the channels running through here are all incredibly high-tech and advanced, definitely in line with what you saw at your former home, the initial Tinted Gel station. As you enter this tunnel and find yourselves in these cramped spaces, you can see that every few hundred meters there are these little alcoves sort of set into the side of the tunnel itself, big enough for a single mecha to stand inside of. And in each of these alcoves, you detect a little blip, a little energy signature. And as you get within far distance of the first set of alcoves, Rain and Neon, you can detect that these are sentry guns, these large turrets that are just kind of sitting on swivel mounts inside these alcoves, guarding this vent from any sort of intruders.
I'll ping Paladin Rain. Thoughts? They look like sensors to me.
I believe we can take them out quickly and quietly. But we should be safe about it. And assuming we get the surprise on them, mechanically speaking, I'd probably fire up my my character ability, my energy shield, as a precaution. Is that okay,
Are you
Matt?
guys talking to all of us, by the way? Is this all
Yeah.
in the comms?
Yeah, I imagine you can all hear it.
Threes would say, should we really be destroying something? Wouldn't they have some kind of warning about us being down here if we destroy one of their sentry guns?
Is there a way to disable it?
I probably have the best shot of getting through undetected. Perhaps if I get past them, I can find some way to shut them down.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right.
Hey, Jinx. Best friends.
Threes and Neon, now they're
Freeze
best
is the
friends.
master of the jinx this session.
Yes.
So I'll actually
Sounds like a plan to me. Oh, Internet Explorer. Crap.
since my mech is lit up, I'll kind of cut down the lights a little bit and back out and leave Tulip there in case. That way Vogue can move in and do the stealthy maneuvers. I'll be right at the entrance in case I need to act.
Killer. Okay. Threes, Raptor, are you two doing anything special as Vogue moves ahead here?
No. You said that from the entrance of us going in, it's just like a straight shot, right?
Yeah, it's like it's sort of like goes straight, and then you can see it start to ascend, almost like the tunnel is it's like a pipe leading up into the structure of the base.
So, our least mobile amongst us is. Am I right in assuming that's Threes and a Neon? Probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
mobile
so.
as in fast or mobile as in skill?
As in mobility.
Yeah, my mobility's high as shit.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Same
Then.
as
So,
Raptor.
Yeah, same.
My
My mobility
mobility's
and my
18.
power is the highest on my stats.
oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna I'm gonna go into my mecha belt. I'm gonna pull out. You're all very good at describing how these things interlock. I just know I'm just gonna take out my mecha belt and I'm going to
Utility belt.
pull out my sensor jammer, and I'm going to hand it off to somebody, and I say, just in case, click the big button, and two of you will be able to get by. Okay. The last person, you're on your own. And I think at that point it just is kind of like floating in front of you because I'm still cloaked. So all of a sudden there is just this thing that leaves my cloaking field, and just I'll hand it off to Tulip, and then I ghost through the century hell.
And over the comms, you would hear, thanks, Mattie. And as this triangle that had snapped off of the shield of Paladin Rain just kind of fixes itself to Paladin Neon's armor, as I give you the benefits of the energy shield.
Cool.
Oh, sweet.
Right on. So, Vogue, you move down this large pipe, this tunnel, and you pass the first set of alcoves, and you do indeed see these large sort of automated sentry guns that are just like swiveling lazily back and forth on their mounts as you pass by. There is shortly after this rush of water down the tunnel. You just feel this like current sort of pushing against you. And I need anyone who's in the tunnel. I believe it would be Vogue and Rain. Everyone else, I think, moved kind of out of the tunnel or is at the entrance and can easily move aside. I need a mobility check from the two of you, please.
Good.
Okay. You both manage to duck into an alcove or otherwise get out of the way and withstand the venting heat of this exhaust vent. And you get a wait as the intense heat sort of pushes against the outside hull of your mech, but you manage to not take any significant damage from it. You might have to repaint some parts of your mecha, but otherwise you're good. Neon or Vogue, you move down this pipeline, find yourself ascending slightly. You pass by 2 more sets of these alcoves, and searching out with your scanners, you find the power conduit that's running down the length of this pipeline. You might be able to access the systems of these turrets here if you want to try and disable them, or otherwise just take control of them without turning them off.
Yeah, I definitely would want them to, I feel like if they just turn off outright, someone's going to notice in a control room and be sent to fix it. So I'd rather do is just be in control of these things so that my friends can pass through without being shot at.
Okay, great. Yeah, give me, since you're trying to take control of them rather than disable them, the system test is going to be at disadvantage.
Perfect. I succeed.
Okay. You do a little cable-y bit into the node, the power node here, and you get that beep beep as you get access to the software controlling all of these turrets. You can see their different sort of subroutines and stuff like sort of scrolling up your HUD, and you now have control of these turrets.
Excellent. I sent a message to the comm link saying, well, the way is clear.
It's just a scene where it's a sentry looking out, and then
Yeah.
a mecha hand waves in front of it, and it doesn't shoot. Okay.
Mattie would, as Zasha's doing that, would like make the thing begin to like whir as if it's about ready to shoot Zasha, but then like turn it off just in the last second.
You see that like the arm has these rockets kind of pushed out, like she's fixing to smash it, and then it stops.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless anyone wants to do something different or proceed differently, all of the Paladins navigate this tunnel safely, and you all go up and over and to the right, and you sort of see off to the right there is this large, almost like a sliding steel door that separates this vent from the rest of the base. You're able to get it open, and you stand inside the dark confines of Warwick Station. This room is just large enough to fit the Paladins inside of, but you can see that there are no mecha-sized doors leading out of this room. You will have to disembark from your mecha. You have, you are now above the water, so at a certain point when you were going up the vent, you like came up over the water line, and so all of the Paladin suits are just like draining water out of their like vents and tubes and stuff as they're standing there in this room. But you will all have to disembark before you can go further.
Tulip would be kind of bewildered and captivated by the water itself as the mecha blasts through it. But ultimately, when the water starts to lower around the mech, she takes a deep breath, and gravity returns to Tulip Cho as she readies her pack and all of her gear that she brought as the cockpit prepares to go into a closed system mode.
Mora hops out just quickly and says in the comms, "Rules of engagement are very strict. Let's keep to it." And he looks at Regael. Pax? nods.
Threes would nod in response and hop out and pull out his bag with him as he gets to the ground. Do we have a map of the area? Or should that be our first stop to get our footing on where exactly we're going?
Great idea. Let me find a data panel. You are muted, Mike.
It's that kind of night. So you all move into this next room. This appears to be a completely unoccupied deep part of the facility. You don't see any lights on anywhere, so you're all using flashlights or headlights or, lights on the end of your guns, whatever you happen to be using to look around. You travel for a little while, going up and down a few ladders, down a few stairways, and then up again, and eventually find your way to a small data terminal sort of tucked away inside. It's like surrounded by just like piping and wiring and cabling and stuff. And you're surrounded by just like the din of this place being powered, just this constant like all this electricity and water and stuff being carried all throughout the facility. But you do find a data terminal, and if you would like to access it, Mattie, I'll need a system test.
Sure. I sort of put down my little systems visor. It's got these orange lenses on it, and he takes out these like little cables that are and like plugs it into the data terminal. And that's a success.
So you take a few minutes navigating the system of this data terminal, and you do find a map, a layout of the place. It's a huge facility. It's much like Tintagel. It's sprawling. Many different sorts of areas designed for different things. But based on why you're here and what you're looking for, there are three things that kind of stick out to you, Mattie. One is the Mecha production facility, which is actually nearby to where you are, probably closest to where you are. The archives, which is 1 level up, and the genetics chamber, which is 3 levels up.
So, Mecha production, archives, and genetics, you said?
Those were the 3 areas, yep. And Mecha production is closest, archives is next closest, and then the genetics chamber is the farthest away.
Okay. As the sort of code flashes through my orange lenses, I flip them up. The little cords come coming back to my visor like measuring tape that has just been released, and he turns to everybody. Takes out a disc, puts it onto like his wristwatch. He affixed the discs to the wristwatch with a nice satisfying click, and as he does, he taps it a few times and he shows a 3D holograph of the building. He would say, "Well, this is what it is. Those are some interesting floors. Definitely not the cafeteria. There's a lot of ground to cover here, and I think a lot of information to be gained. I mean, those archives, yeah, that genetics sounds interesting, but those archives will have probably everything that we need. Maybe we need to..."
At the word genetics, Zasha just kind of looks over to Mora and gives one of those solidarity nods. Like, however you want to navigate that, Zasha will try to help.
Is that the kind of place that we had in our base? Did we have anything like this? Is this kind of like a replica? Okay.
No, it's actually pretty different. And Mattie, you would notice this too as you first started looking through the map, that this has less of a feel of a military installation that also has a training facility in it, and it seems more like it is a production facility. This definitely at one point was primarily a manufacturing facility for primarily making mecha. now obviously used for some other purpose, but it has a sort of a more industrial feel than Titagel did.
Perhaps, I mean, the Mecha are the Mecha. We can, of course, we can, of course, make a stop there along the way. Maybe to cover the most ground, 2 of us can go to archives and 2 of us can go to genetics.
Good idea. Zasha,
Yes, Commander.
where are you headed?
Wherever you go.
Typical. I'm sorry.
To genetics then.
Zasha's she's left the gloves and the spacesuit with this big cumbersome helmet back in her mech, and she's just got that bomber jacket and like a bikini top on, anime as hell style, with those big poofy pants and the boots, and she locks in around, cycles the chamber, checks everything to make sure it's all good. After you.
He cocks back the submachine gun that was at one point the size of this whole wall and now is shrunk down to be pilot sized. The technology in the Okami is incredible. I can't even begin to know where to start. But we would make our way towards the genetics facility. If any of these other facilities are on the way, because that one's the farthest, anything on the way, we can maybe go to the archives, go to the production facility, and then split up if we wanted. However the layout looks.
You, looking at the map, you can probably chart a course to all 3. It would definitely be a little bit of like a sort of switchback, like back and forth across the different levels. But you could absolutely chart a course to all 3, or you could split up, however you want to do it.
I think Mora would say, let's visit the production facility first. It's the closest. From there, we can split off to the archives and the genetics.
Sounds good.
We'd also come back to the production facility. It is the closest to here, and we have to come back here to get to our mechs.
I think we can also set up a pretty good birthday surprise in case we need to leave very quickly. That means bomb. I say, looking at Tulip.
That means bomb. She chimes, and then like under a hushed, quieter breath, like gives the softest, most pillowy punch to Mattie's shoulder and says, "I'm not gonna let anything happen to you. We're sticking together."
He rests his hand on his. He rests his hand on his katana and he says, "Same to you."
And she raises her eyebrows at the katana like approvingly. And they're both kind of geeking out about the experience, I think, of adventure right now, even still. But she looks serious. Her resolve is a lot more intense. And she nods at you, and instead of the glimmer of teardrop at the edge of her eye, you see the glimmer off the goggles as they reflect back at you, and she smirks affirmative.
I wink. Yeah. We're going production, right? Production first?
Yep.
To production.
We all key up and synchronize our throat mics so that we can
Definitely.
stage whisper.
Yep. There you go. That's perfect.
Moving into production facility 1.
We're also going to be walking in slow motion, Matt, just
Yep.
for game
Doing the
purposes.
hands.
I'm
Signals.
cartwheeling to every pillar.
Can you do it in slow
somersaults.
motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Katana out,
Yeah.
not touching the ground.
Yeah. Mattie is kirking everywhere, just like rolling and tumbling to every possible. Yeah.
While Tulip's jetpacking through
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
Instantly
Moving
the alarms
forward.
start going off. Yeah. It's just like as soon as you take a step, it's like pwee, pwee. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. What is so? Just so that like we're all kind of on the same page. What is everybody's pilot abilities?
That's a good question.
Stealth and combat.
Same.
I do one fucking thing.
I have acrobatics and cokes.
Intrigue and acrobatics.
intellect and coax.
Cool. So no one has espionage. That's good to know.
Espionage and no, I don't.
Oh, I thought the threes had espionage. Oops.
It's all good.
Wait, neither of the two mechanics have espionage.
I to be fair, I have not used my skills at all. So
I mean,
yeah, we're
can we retcon so that one of the
9
PhD
sessions in, and we're just now using the on-foot skills.
If only we had been selected and trained so that we had overlapping skill
Yeah,
sets.
yeah.
We were, but that got interrupted.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Well, no hacking for us, I guess. When we
when
we get to archive, we got to rely on what's available.
I'll be fair. I mean, I haven't. Yeah,
Flipping through books.
Yeah, like Mattie has a pretty decent system even without espionage, but yeah. So you move through the facility, and as you go up a couple of levels, you start to detect activity from the facility. It all of a sudden doesn't seem so abandoned or derelict anymore. There are lights that are on. You hear footsteps here and there. You actually hear muffled voices through the walls and stuff like that. And so you all kind of move a little bit more carefully, a little bit more slowly as you move toward this production facility. You come around the corner, and who would be taking point for the group?
I assume me and Zasha.
Yeah. Okay. So, Threes and Neon, the two of you, as you come around this corner, you see this short corridor leading into what you assume is the Mecha production facility, because this is like a large, expansive sort of room. But you see that there are 2 guards standing there with their backs to you in this sort of like plasteel-looking armor, this sort of laminate armor. Both of them have their sidearms holstered, and through their helmets, they're like talking to one another, and one of them says, "I heard Director Calypso was returning. I didn't hear about that. Yeah, it was unplanned. I like it when she's not here. Me too."
So Zasha takes her thumb and slides it across her pointer finger, holds up 2, and then does the gesture like, "I only see the 2. Do you see any more?"
There is only 2 there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's roleplay, John.
I just want to make sure.
John's
So,
like, I don't see anybody in our path. We can just go right on in.
Yeah, so he'd gesture the same things that you just did to him back at you.
So then she does the gesture of like knocking them out, like punch them in the back of the fucking head, or sneak. Do you want to just move past, or do we want to?
I think he would put up the signal to wait. I think for him, he wants to see where these people are even going. Like, we still don't even know like what this facility is. They're just here talking. So he wants to know are they just security guards stationed here? Are they maneuvering? Are they going somewhere? He just wants to like wait and see what happens.
Yeah, good call. You spend a couple of moments observing. They don't seem to be moving off anywhere, and their sort of like at ease posture makes you think that they're probably stationed here as guards, and that because this is like so deep in the facility, it's probably a really boring post to be a guard. And so they're just kind of standing here. They don't appear to be making any moves to move away from the doorway.
And now this is the entrance to the production facility, or
Correct.
could we sneak past them too? Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So he would just go knock them out.
All right, let's get some combat checks from both of you to try and take them out.
Now combat is power, correct?
Yep, that'll be power.
Blessings be. I rolled a 1.
Nice. Go ahead and describe what it looks like as you, like, completely in sync, simultaneously take out both of these guards.
Let's describe it in sync too, John. Ready? 1, 2. No, I imagine that Zasha and Threes, the tactic that they've always done, even on accident at this point, is to go to 2 different positions and then attack from 2 flanks. So I think that works perfectly. Even if we get seen by 1, it happens so fast. Zasha would just come in with the butt of that assault rifle and crack the plasteel helmet on the one in front of her.
I love that you said plasteel.
Did
But,
everyone
yeah.
think stormtrooper when he said the words
Oh,
plasteel?
100%.
Oh,
Yeah,
Just
these
making
guys-
sure.
these
I'm
guys
seeing
are
right now.
100%
That's why I said it
stormtroopers.
cracks when I hit it instead
Yep.
of protecting admirably.
Yes,
It
yes.
just shatters to pieces.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with that assertion. She goes from one end, I go from one end, use the butt of my assault rifle, dudes go down. I think I would like to pull their comms though. Do they have anything like on them?
Yeah, they have their sidearms. Both of them have some like sort of basic sort of supplies on them. And then both inside their helmets, they both have these comms that are attached inside the helmet that you could easily yank out if you wanted to kind of keep an ear out for anything else.
While Threes is getting their communicators out of their helmet,
My healing potion.
I'm going to take their sidearms
Yep.
and pull the magazine out and feed out all the ammo, unless it's some kind of laser weapon. If it's a normal sidearm, I'm going to feed the ammo out onto the ground, replace it, and put it back in the holster.
Killer. Yeah, both of these guys hit the ground. Just they're out. You pull the comms, pull out the ammo, and the production facility is before you. Do you all want to enter?
All clear, Commander.
There's a 3-second lag as Tulip is unclipping a standard gear utility belt, and she throws it over her shoulder. Whatever that basic equipment on armor was, she would pack it up, and she would be like, "Wait," as she's got stuff kind of sticking out from a few pockets.
So, this massive room, just cavernous, big enough to support not only Mecha, but the construction of Mecha. Cranes that are able to move pieces here and there, gigantic welding torches, immense foundries for forging different pieces, and consoles everywhere with schematics, weapon designs, and things like that. There are caches of ammo and other weapons sort of lining the walls, these shells that are, the size of motorcycles just stacked up in these gigantic ammo crates. The beyond just some sort of standard Neo Knight mecha suits that seem to be sort of like half completed. This production facility is obviously not active at the moment. There's no one in here building anything, and all the machines are quiet. But you notice there are 4 frames standing against one wall, each within their own sort of maintenance bay. The frames are unadorned. You can see this is sort of like the skeleton of a mecha. It's all the pieces inside the armor that make the mecha work. You can see the exposed reactor, the cockpit. These frames are taller than standard Neo Knight frames, and as you catch sight of these, all of you would likely realize that these are Paladin frames. This is what your Paladin suits looked like before they received the immense customization and modifications to make them tuned exactly to your fighting style. There are 4 of them here, and a 5th bay that stands empty.
Or examines one. Are there Twitch drives on these mecha?
There are not. That's a good question.
I guess that Mattie would use the opportunity to see how similar to ours. I mean, I guess you said that these are just like the basic skeletons, so there really is, beyond that, that's probably all that's the same about ours.
Yeah, it seems like it. Like there's nothing to discern them from one another, but
Right.
in terms of the skeleton of them, they're nearly identical to the frames inside the Paladins, from what you can tell. There is a large computer terminal set in front of these hangars if you'd like to try and access it.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, give me a system test if you would, please.
Good.
You take a few moments. Everyone else is standing around doing the like guns out, sort of like checking the corners, keeping an eye out. And you spend a few moments accessing this terminal, and you crack in, and these holograms spring up. You see 5 Paladin designs, schematics for each, and as each rolls through, you see the pieces getting added to them to finish the designs. And as the designs complete, you hear, or you see rather, the designations of each suit. Paladin Warhawk, Paladin Waltz, Paladin Triad, Paladin Void, and Paladin Hail.
Well, I think that Mattie would stand there mouth agape. I think that he was prepared to believe that Mora, being the odd man out, was the only person to really be subject to this doppelganger situation. Well, they're not complete yet. That means they're not done. They're not ready. Only Warhawk's ready. Maybe the others don't exist. Maybe their plans have failed. Maybe the copies were bad. Yeah. Yeah. They only have. Looks like Warhawk is the only one that's completed production. The rest of these are just skeletons.
Maybe I'm the only one.
I don't
know.
think
Maybe it
matters.
failed. Maybe that's why these 4 are still here.
Mattie, do you have schematics to finish these?
Yes. They are prepared to put these into full production. I suppose there's nothing in the system that says what the holdup is, or what the or just says awaiting production or something like that.
Yeah, you don't get a sense for why these aren't assembled yet, or why they're not being worked on, but clearly they are not. And the various like components, you don't see them around either, and so it's not like they've got everything ready to go. They just need to snap it together like it's a kit. Like they don't have anything ready to go yet for any of these.
Grab
All
what you can. Mora just looks at all of the, even though this place isn't in production, there's still a lot of good stuff in here, maybe some scrap. So he just says, grab what you can. We'll learn more in the archives.
Out of character, this does give us another little piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Make sure no one skips over it. Is that this production had to have started way after our mechs were already in production.
Oh yeah. I think that there's definitely something that there's after like the shock of just realizing that he is also a subject to this. Mattie also says, "I'm not the copy. I don't think I'm the copy. We're not the copies. They're the copies. We're the originals."
Threes would just say what he said before and just say, it doesn't matter if we're the copies. All right, let's get to the archives.
I think that I don't know how much it would really matter to do this. Maybe it's just pettiness. I think that as people are, as Mora guy tells us to gather what we can from here, especially considering we might blow this place up soon anyway, I think that Mattie would just like take out his torch, his like soldering torch, and just like fuse all the joints of the paladin skeletons together, just to make it that much more annoying to get everything built.
All of us
Slashing.
are standing there like, we do not have time for this, Mattie.
Maddie's over there
I'm a fast worker.
He's keying the paladins as you're leaving,
Keying the
slashing the
paladins.
tires. Yeah.
I look,
Honoring without swear words somehow.
Yeah.
Is this where we split up?
That's up.
I-
That was the plan.
Yeah, I think we're gonna cover more ground that way.
I
Let
look
us know
at
if you
this
learn more in the
high-
archives.
I look at this high explosive. I look at all the acetylene torches and various
Yeah.
chemicals. I look at my 11 systems. I put the high explosive away. Ready to go, Commander. Better not risk it. Don't want the surprise birthday to blow up in our faces.
Kidding.
One thing you do notice as you're pulling this data from the terminal, Mattie, is that these Paladin chassis do have a different Geist system. The software that the Geist system is running and components of the hardware is different than what the Paladins are running. You can pull this data as well and potentially manufacture it using the Tinker system aboard the Okami.
Yes. Yes.
I
I mean, I
actually
I pull all the data I can from anything, knowing that maybe we'll find more information in the future. I just take as much as I can and just hold on to it in my back pocket.
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
When Mattie is pulling up information on this, does there seem like a place? Like this seems like an assembly line, but is there a place that the finished product goes after this? Like, is there like if we wanted to take one of these things, we obviously can't take it the way we came in. So
Right.
there has to be a way that they eject it from the base.
So that's a great question. I'll say that there is, at the end of this big production line, there's actually these large doors. And on the other side of that, there's this huge lift. It's like this gigantic elevator that two mecha could stand shoulder to shoulder on and ride it up. So you imagine that this elevator might emerge up on that landing pad up at the top of the volcano.
Gotcha. And Threes would just say, worst case scenario, I think that we should take one of these, examine it further.
Not a bad idea.
If you think that we can manage taking it, sure. Yeah. Should that be something we do right as we leave? I suppose.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I should be able to plug into the system and send it on its way, and we can catch it on the way out. Pax. I think we all decided where we would be splitting up to. Where are you headed?
The archives.
Okay.
All right. So, sounds like Tulip, Mattie, and Pax are going to the archives, while Mora and Zasha go to the genetic chambers. Okay, cool. Man, where do I want to go first? Let's go to the archives first. So, you all split up. You each have a copy of this map, and so you're able to find your way. The archives requires you to go up a lift. You're able to take it up. A couple of patrols go by, but you manage to avoid them fairly easily, and you find the archives. You wait for about 30 seconds while a scientist-looking guy in like a blue lab coat types some stuff into the terminal, and then adjusts his glasses, picks up his data pad, and walks out of the room. And as he walks out of the room and the door like slides shut behind him, out of the shadows emerges Tulip, Mattie, and Pax. There's this large cylindrical computer terminal in the center of the room, and out of the top of it are all of these like coils of cables, like hundreds of cables coiled together into the width of somebody's arm that come up and run along the ceiling and down into the floor, carrying data throughout the facility. And in the center, there's this huge supercomputer, which you can access easily without even a system check. Do you do so?
Absolutely.
I think I'm gonna leave all the computer stuff to them, and I want to follow the guy that just left.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're gonna follow the guy that just left. So you let Tulip and Mattie know and follow that scientist guy. We'll get to that in a second. All right. I'm about to dump a lot of info. Let it be known that you can take notes, but I will also provide this text to you after the session so that you have it on hand, so that you're not trying to remember everything. You spend a few minutes, Mattie, and actually, Tulip, you're able to access the computer as well. There's multiple sort of terminals, so you're able to kind of look through information together. There's just tons of information, just millions of gigs of information here on this computer, but you managed to find a folder titled Project Halberd, and it's in there that you find holologs. These video logs recorded by one director, Julianne Saxifrage, and you access these logs, and here's what you find. The first video pops up. It's Dr. Saxifrage. She is slightly younger than she was when you knew her at Tintagel, though her hair is still graying. She sits down in front of a computer and adjusts this recording device and says, "The clones are, unfortunately, by and large, unviable. Even after developing, most don't achieve full awareness or cognitive function. We have achieved some success, though, with genetic material from both myself and lead engineer Tulip Cho. We have one viable clone and 3 other successful fetal candidates." The video cuts out. Another one pops up. She's adjusting her glasses. "Clone Alpha 6, a genetic copy of myself, displays an aptitude for leadership even at this early stage of her training and development. Recommending Alpha 6 for the Paladins program and immediate fitting of a Geist neural implant." The video cuts out again. "Clones Beta 4, Omega 9, and Gamma 23, triplets, each derived from Saxifrage Cho genetic material. Each show immense aptitude with critical thinking, problem solving, and..." She kind of pauses and gets this faraway look. "I'm sorry. To be honest, I'm having trouble remembering that they are subjects and not children. The boys are identical twins. They remind me so much of myself. The third, the girl, reminds me of Cho. I'm reminded of that age-old argument of nature versus nurture. How much is our genetics and how much is our parenting?" Oh, God, I just said parenting, didn't I? The video cuts out. "Today, the triplets turn 5. I can hardly believe this time has passed so quickly. Tulip and I are throwing them a birthday celebration, though I know Command disapproves of such displays of affection. But it is important that the children feel human. It's important to Tulip and I mean, Command is getting handsier by the day. I fear they might try to put the program into someone else's hands if we don't start showing progress." The video cuts once more. "The triplets are displaying signs of genetic memories. This is an unprecedented event. Ancestral recollections of a kind derived from their progenitor directive genetic material. Mora, Omega 9, speaks often of a dream closely resembling an experience from my own childhood. The death of my mother. It remains to be seen what these memories might mean or how they might manifest." The video cuts. "Calypso, designation Alpha 6, has been spending more time alone. I'm told this is normal for a 12-year-old. I worry. The child resembles me more than the others. She is an Alpha series, the first viable clone Project Halberd has produced. She lords herself over the others, resents their sibling bond. Her anger, too, is difficult to manage, to say the least. Yesterday she struck Mora when he stood up for Falk, hard enough to draw blood and blacken the eye. She is brilliant, cunning, otherworldly, but there is something amiss, something buried in that brilliant brain that I cannot reach. The video cuts again. She is older, maybe by a few years. Training today in the simulator. Calypso is as good as I ever was behind the yokes of a mecha. No, better. She's far better than I ever was. She has achieved perfect synchronization with the Geist neural implant, and at only 14 years old, I do not know what to do. As a professional, as a scientist, as a loyal citizen of the Neo-Dominion, I must recommend Calypso for immediate combat deployment. But she is also my daughter. Our daughter, Tulip's and mine. She's just a child. What do I do? She removes her glasses and rubs her temples. With perfect synchronization of the Geist system, she exhibits no personality traits of herself. It is like she is the Paladin suit. In the simulations, it can be controlled. I do not know what will happen in actual field testing. More on that later. The next video plays. Inspection today from Command. They are less than pleased. At time of funding, we promised hundreds of Geist-capable mecha pilots. We have 4. 3 of whom are children, 1 of whom is a teenager. The phrase hemorrhaging resources was tossed about quite a bit today. We are, Tulip and I, preparing for the worst. There's one more video. It plays, and you can see that she is standing now, and the room behind her is in disarray. I do not have much time. I will be brief. Tulip is already gone, and she took the girl with her. I do not know where. It's best I do not know where. For their protection and for mine. I am taking Mora. He is with me now. But Falk and Calypso, they cannot come with me. They must stay here. It rips the heart from me to leave them here. I can't bear the thought of it. The fate of Warwick, of Project Halberd, of the Paladin program, the mecha designs, Tulip's hangar ship, I don't know what will become of it. But I know this. I intend to finish our work. The Dominion grows malevolent. Something else stirs on the outskirts of Lodestar. War is coming. And we need knights to lead the charge, to protect our people, to uphold justice. We need the Paladins to set right our wayward path. What the future holds, I cannot say. But this is not the end. Not yet. We have funding, private funding. A concerned family of the Dominion. Our work will continue, albeit within the shadows, and far away from each other. The rest of this story will be written by Mora. By Mora's sister. By the team I build for them. This is my final log. This is Director Julian Saxifrage. Signing off. The video log ends, and you all stand in the silence of the archives.
Yes, great job, Matt. There's a lot more in there, more implications for Tulip in there than there are for Mattie. He would just, again, a very common gesture amongst them, silently reach out and hold her hand.
And while she's normally kind of steaming or bursting with some kind of emotion, good or bad, she just holds your hand extremely tight to a little bit of pain, and but she's standing firm, and she just looks at the others for answers.
I think it's just you and I in here.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. When he said in front of you all, I thought for some reason we'd all seen it. Yeah,
Pax is
no,
there too, I think, right?
yeah,
Pax followed the guy out of the room.
Pax is chasing after that scientist.
My bad. Yep. sorry.
yeah. Okay, so if it's just the two of us, that's he would just take your hand, squeeze it as hard, or she would just take your hand and squeeze it as hard as I had said, and just say, I know we came together for a reason. And we're going to stay together for a reason. She's at a loss for words and having a hard time processing this all. And were there flashes of Nans like in the as this was being narrated by Sassafrage, like in the background?
You would have likely seen a slightly younger Nan in the background, present in the same space as Sassafrage.
Okay. Yeah, Tulip would have been wincing at each of the scenes. Not like in disgust, but more so just in shock and awe. She hasn't seen this person even in this light. And taking it all in, she just she feels heavy, but she's standing stronger. But she's holding on to you for dear life. So you are standing together whether you like it or not. And she just nods and says, we have a job to do. We know what paladins we are.
It's your legacy, Tulip.
It's all of ours.
There's a silent there's a mental response to that, to a closed-lipped Mattie, which says remains to be seen. But he takes your hand and he says, where did Pax go? And he's going to download all this information, as much of this information as he can, and he's just gonna sometime while you guys are checking out genetics, you're just gonna get a ping saying information being downloaded, and it's a lot.
Spicy takes accessed. Pax, you are following this scientist, and you do so easily. Your training has allowed you to follow close behind, but attract no notice. This guy in the lab coat is moving into this sort of another room that is walled with computer terminals. You get close enough to the door to be able to hear what he's saying to the other person inside the room, but you can see that the room itself would not allow you to enter and find a hiding spot in time to not attract notice. This guy walks in and takes a seat at one of the terminals and says to one of the other people in there, this Warhawk data is flying in faster than I can process it. They're trying to achieve perfect synchronization, whatever the hell that means. I don't know how far they're going to push this kid, but they're going to kill him before they get anything useful out of him. The other one says, he's a clone, right? Yeah, that's what they say.
Is it possible for me to be trained enough to be able to identify like the distance of the voices, like who's speaking closer to me, who's like the one that's more sympathetic, and who's the one that's more apathetic?
So the one closest to you is the one that you were following. It seems like he entered and sat down pretty much right away as he entered the room. The other one appears to be right next to him, a little bit further away from you. The one who's speaking, the one who you followed, is definitely speaking with a little bit more kindness in their voice. The other one seems really flippant and dismissive of the fact that they're speaking about a clone and not a person.
Okay. In like our weapons, do we have a way to not kill somebody but knock them out?
Yeah, we gotta have a stun setting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that looks like since you're using like ballistic weapons, but I don't know. Maybe there's like a.
Isn't that just the butt of the gun?
Yeah, I mean, you could knock him out with the butt
I
of the
imagine
gun,
that there's
maybe...
like a rubber bullet or something like that.
I was gonna say you have one of those underbarrel attachments. That
Yeah,
shoots a
you know, like-
sandbag.
Yeah, it could even be like a sleeping dart. You could go like super James Bond style and have a little like sleeping dart launcher on the pistol or something.
It's like an actual blowgun. Not a
Yeah.
bamboo shoot.
Yeah, we just
It's got to be
packs,
telescoping
like,
so you can keep it in a
takes-
small pocket.
It hits the armor, and they still fall asleep.
Armor
They still
shatters.
collapse. Yeah, the armor shattered.
Yeah.
But
Packs
anyway, I
comes
want to
with it.
walk in and immediately shoot the guy to the far side with whatever the pass out bullet is.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead and give me a combat check if you would.
Sure. Also, I realized that like having combat with like a 19 on power is a little obnoxious.
A little bit.
Is it possible for me to fail?
If you rolled a 20, you would fail, but that's
Oh,
about
the
it.
20 is like an auto fail.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, also, if you think of it this way, if the highest score you can get would end up being a 20 because you have to roll higher to level it up, and you have to roll lower than the stat
Well,
to
so-
succeed.
If I have combat, it makes my power +2, which is a
It's like-
21.
Forget
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
That is true. I think everything maxes out at 20. So your
Okay.
your max would be 20. But that's a good question.
A question I had earlier.
Adding this,
Our numbers are so high.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
assuming you succeeded,
Yes,
John,
I got a 14.
You do the this dart just goes into. I'm picturing like a high tech dart that like does like a neural sort of like it like sticks into the guy's neck, and he just like instantly goes stiff and falls over onto the console, and the other guy goes, "What the?" and he turns to look at you. What do you do?
Yeah, as he like turns to look at me, he's looking at like the inside of the barrel of a gun. And I'm assuming there's like a button to like slide the door close.
Yeah, there's a little
I just
switch.
want to like hit that button as I like slide inside the booth with him
Mm-hmm.
and just say, so I have a few questions and I think you're gonna have to answer them for me. Do you think you can do that?
Yeah, whatever you need.
Cool. Let's start with an easy one. Who are you and what is this facility?
I'm Dr. Jack. I'm a scientist here, engineer. I work on the Project Halberd.
Mm-hmm. What exactly are you working on right now? To my knowledge, this project has been shut down, but it's clearly still going.
I don't think I can tell you what we're working on.
And he will cock the gun, and the guy can literally see the bullet inside. Are you sure?
Go ahead and give me a coax test.
What is that under?
That would be under presence.
Oof. Critical success.
He sees that bullet, and you see the the swallow that he takes. You just see his throat just tighten up. Cloning, we're working on cloning. Hasn't been done in a long time, but we're making new ones, trying to make new ones.
Why?
For the Paladins program.
I get that. Why are you making the things now?
Because we have viable genetic material, Geist-compatible genetic material.
What are you going to use the Paladins on? What's the end goal here, other than just making them for the sake of making them?
That I don't know. I'm just doing my job.
Okay.
You'd have to ask Director Calypso about that.
Tell me about this Director Calypso.
She's can be nice sometimes, but she's a pretty hard boss. Drives us pretty hard. Comes and goes as she pleases. She's real close with that Warhawk guy, too. They're always together.
I heard you mentioning Warhawk. Where is he at?
Probably with her. Probably on their way back.
But you said that you were running tests on him.
Well, we were getting data from her. Warhawk, he's been in a simulator for 36 hours at this point.
Where's this Calypso's office at?
Top level, level 9.
Cool. One last question. Do you like your job here?
No, I don't.
What do you think about ending war?
Oh, that's a big question. I don't know. I mean, I feel like if we end war, I might be out of the job. You know what I mean? You would be too.
Yeah. I think he'd I don't know what business cards look like, but I want to give him my business card, and then I want to shoot him and put him out of commission.
Perfect. You give
It's
him
a holographic data chip.
Yeah. You give him your Patrick Bateman eggshell white business card and shoot him point blank with the stun.
Bone.
He drops. Yeah, he drops like a bag of potatoes. And with that, we cut to Mora and Zasha. The two of you avoid a patrol of 3 of these plasteel armored troopers. They walk by chattering to one another in their static-laced helmet voices, and you dart across the corridor, and as the door slides shut behind you, you find yourselves in a dimly lit room. It appears to be lit only by this series of large blue lanterns, but as you kind of look around and your eyes adjust a little bit more, you see that each of these tubes is filled with a blue liquid, and that this blue liquid is glowing softly, shedding this dim light throughout the room. There are shapes within each tube, each somewhat human. It's hard to tell from here.
The information scrolls on the side of Mora's, heads-up display. The information downloaded by Mattie, and Mora sees a mention of Omega 9. Quick looks at it, sees his name attached to it, and just looks away and disregards the heads-up display in an effort not to think about this for a moment, and kind of gives some hand signals to Zasha that they might spread out to clear the room as a pair.
Zasha, her whole deal has been tactical engagement. It was what she was trained on before she joined the Geist System Initiative. So she stalks around the outside of this room, following all of these hand maneuvers, keeping into the shadows as best she can. But even though she's trying to stay fully aware of what's going on, these shapes floating in these tubes is more unsettling than she was prepared for. She finds herself kind of letting her eyes drift up to them as she walks by, with this gentle kind of glow in the middle of the room.
I would do the same on the opposite end, working my way towards you, tube after tube. But Mora would definitely see if you could get a good view of a face or any sort of recognizable part.
Many of these don't have faces in the strictest sense. A lot of them are grotesque, misshapen bodies, barely recognizable as human. But a few of them are more developed. And Mora, you pass by one of these tubes and you see your face reflected in the glass, and beyond, swimming in the blue liquid, something that resembles your face, but with twisted, mutated features.
I think Mora starts hyperventilating. That's it.
Before Zasha can check on him, do we hear anyone else in this chamber? Anybody moving around? Anything like that?
Seems to be empty.
I think you said no, right, Matt? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Seems to be empty.
Okay. So Zasha makes an eye at the exit and then cuts back around, thinking that Mora may have stumbled onto something, may have tripped, may have been hurt. And when she sees he's just kind of like up against the glass, she holds out one of those calming hands and lets the gun kind of droop and says, "Everything okay, Commander?" Kind of as she comes over.
Everything's hitting Mora now. It seems like in this moment, he realized he whether it's true or not, he's a clone. He must be. Or maybe Saxifrage took his DNA. He just starts like the possibilities start swimming, and he shuts him up, and he says, "Is there a fucking console in here?" And he looks at Zasha and he says, "Sorry." And I don't know if anyone heard that loud outburst, but he looks for a console somewhere to get some more information.
Yeah, there is a computer console set between a couple of rows of these tanks that you can access.
He walks over and just kind of...
You start scrolling through. A lot of the data means nothing to you. A lot of it is just unrecognizable gibberish. But eventually you find your way into a set of genetic templates, for lack of a better phrase. You can see that there is a incredible amount of data on the Paladins. There is genetic data here from Mattie, from Pax Bastion, from Zasha, from Tulip Cho, which is in quotations, and in parentheses it says Gamma 23. And then you see you, Mora, and in parentheses, Omega 9. If you trace this data, try to find out where it came from, you can see that it was beamed from Nova Locus in the Nidus Nebula.
Mora's standing at this console. Zasha, can you see what Mora's looking at, or are you separate?
Absolutely not. She is focused on the door after your outburst, so her back is to you.
Mora's going to back up this information into an internal drive, and he's going to delete it from this system.
You do so. You now have that data on a drive.
We should find the others.
Sasha's got her arm, her wrist exposed from the bomber jacket up against this warm, like 100-degree tube, and has the rifle kind of propped and aimed at the door in case someone bursts in. And when she hears it, there's that subtle tremble, the voice of someone who's trying not to be too excited, good or bad. And she completely ignores it. This is the mission. He is the commander. Nothing that he found, nothing that he thinks matters unless he says it matters. She just chimes back, "Roger that, Commander. I'll take point." And heads over towards the door. Opens it, checks the hallway, waves him through.
Presses one more. He starts to walk out. And then he says, one more thing. He walks back to the console. By your leave, Paladins. Slams a button, and the cylinders, I would imagine your call, start draining or souring or collapsing, or however it would look, putting an end to these science experiments here. And then Mora would walk out.
What's the plan for meeting back up?
I am just mining all the data I can from the archives until somebody tells me to stop. Since I know that I'm kind of we can meet up back in the archives to get back to where we need to go. I am obviously beyond the diaries themselves. I'm just taking all the information from this place.
Just kind of key in the throat mic. Commander and I are headed back.
Yeah, I think Pax would be just having more of a look around beyond the science people to see, because it seems like there's like a skeleton crew here. So he just wants to like poke around and like get a feel for how many people are actually in this facility.
Yeah, it's actually a good observation, Pax. You notice that true to your sort of instinct, there are very few people working in this facility for how big it is. You definitely get the sense that this is indeed a skeleton crew. Maybe a few dozen people at most, guards, engineers, and scientists all working. The lack of emblems on the uniforms, on the walls, on anything, kind of makes you think that this, too, might be some sort of rogue operation not under the jurisdiction of the Neo-Dominion. There is a complete and total lack of Neo-Dominion, like, stuff, and normally it's, like, fucking banners and sigils and, like, knights in armor. Like, there's just, like, none of that here.
Yeah. So, sorry, I have really bad short-term memory. Did you tell me that Calypso's office is not on this base?
It is on the top level of the base, on level 9.
All right. I think I'm gonna radio to everybody and let them know that that's where I'm going.
Damn it, Pax! Don't go alone. Tulip, I'll be fine here. You should give him backup.
She was whispering to herself, just kind of mindless anecdotes like Nan and the director. We're all yeah, I should go. We'll back up, Pax. Mattie, stay alive. She lets go of your hand that she was gripping, with exception to when you needed it for data extraction. She was holding on to it, and you just see her kind of kick off as she spins midair and draws her single grenade loaded grenade pistol, and she pokes her head around a corner and starts to barrel towards the other two to rally back up. And she's not crying, but she is distressed. It's like a combination of a rising wonder, but also of a deep horror.
My only other task, other than just extracting the data, would be that Mattie will, if at all possible, try to just screw with all their data, put a bug in the system, just leave a nice little present behind, and just really just ruin their day.
I have to assume that Mattie has some sort of like loaded, ready to go in the holster, like Ed from Cowboy Bebop style, like little like chibi eaten noodles gif like virus that he can put.
Well, what it is that it's music. It is like this. It is just this loop of it's a loop of Darude's Sandstorm that is just but that it's just like so crunchy and like just so terrible. It's an artifact from an age far gone.
Yes.
But it's there, and it feels like it's being played through tinfoil, and it's just on a loop.
Beautiful music from an age undreamed of. I love it. As we see Pax moving toward the director's office, and Tulip manages to come around a corner and meet back up with Mora and Zasha. And Tulip, you see Mora, and I imagine that Mora has this kind of the same sort of shell-shocked 1,000-yard stare that you're sort of experiencing, and you kind of like lock eyes with
and we
one
make
another.
1,000-yard stare eye contact.
Yes, looking at each other from a mile away.
Hallway.
Yeah. Yep. As you kind of group back up, you're maybe about to say something. You kind of about to speak, and the lights turn red. Intruders in the base. Intruders in the base.
I say, Pax went off ahead. He needs his commander.
Mora checks his just like massive wristwatch and types some numbers into it. We have 5 minutes. Or this bomb on my wrist is gonna go off. I don't know.
Now I assume you're like basically like syncing up the timer with everyone on the team. Letting them know how much time until you need to leave. But...
And this 5 minutes is gonna last like 3 or 4 episodes. Like
Yes.
We're totally loose with it.
Ticking clock montage as they make their way.
We see the outside of Warwick Station. We hear the alarm muffled through layers of steel and stone. And settling down on the landing pad is a shuttle. As the gangway comes down, we see first Calypso walk down, followed by Warhawk. or Falk, as we know his name now. A officer rushes up. I'm sorry, ma'am, you've come at a bad time. We have intruders in the base. Calypso looks back to Warhawk, looks to the officer, and says, prepare my mecha. I know who's here. And that's where we're going to leave it for the year.
Unfair.
So,
I'm just a copy of a copy of
a copy. Everything.
That's
I
why you
say
didn't
is
laugh at my joke I sent you in voice message.
because I was like, ha ha ha, Barker, that's where the idea came from.
Listen, I've watched Battlestar Galactica. This session 0. I was thinking we're all clones.
Yeah. It took me a second to wrap my head around it, so I was like, oh, I'm not ready to roleplay about it.
Only two of you are clones. The rest of us have been cloned.
Some of us got cloned.
Some of us got cloned unsuccessfully, by the way.
Some of us are prize material.
Can't be replicated.
So currently, Tulip believes that the subterrane was an articulated dream, or something.
She could, if she wants to go that far. She could also think that that's where she was taken after Tulip Senior fled Warwick. It could have been the Matrix. I don't know.
I'm into all the options. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I have this image in my mind that, Mora is trying to, protect everyone by just hiding the information for now. And you have this information too, and we have that 1,000-mile stare, and we're just like, what'd you find? Oh, nothing. Just not much.
Nothing.
Nope, me neither.
Run-of-the-mill military installation. Aren't no weird mutants in tubes here. That's for sure.
And
Just
then we
drain
chase
some
after facts.
biological waste. No
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just flushed the base's toilet.
I didn't just flush a bunch of failed attempts to clone everybody. No.
No, what?
Yeah, that was a lot
Thanks.
of information dumped on you guys. That was like
It was so good.
That
It
felt
was
like
so
that
good.
episode a little bit,
great.
but we
It
still had some
was.
agency. It was fun.
That
Like
was
we were still doing stuff.
the result of me sitting for 2 hours with a notebook and drawing lines between things, trying to concoct some sort of story that made sense with everything that I had put on the
It
board
makes
so
sense.
far. So
It's like typical anime. The last
Yeah,
like
it's
3
well done.
episodes.
Yep.
it's
plot,
very anime.
you know?
Yep. So we've got a lot to sit with over the holidays. Everyone can think about how bleak and terrible it is, and then we can come back in
We're gonna
January.
f up Nova Locust. What are you talking
I
about?
just have
This is
some words
great
for my
news.
boyfriend Janice. That's all.
Now listen, you don't know for sure if it was Janice. It could have been anyone on that fucking
We're
station.
going to
I think Mattie-
exfiltrate all of the hedgehogs
Oh,
and then blow up Nova Locust.
Hey, how do you like the sound of Governor Mattie?
Yeah, go.
How does that sound?
That is exactly where my head's at.
You kill Janice and take his. First thing is the silk robe. You just put it on and.
Them's the
yes.
rules.
Yep.
I am
And
now
I
the
get to
Janice.
peacock as my.
He who controls the hedgehogs controls the universe. Yeah.
But before we do end things for the year, I want to, of course, give everyone a chance to do their sign-offs and their post-credit scene. The last one for 2020, so make it count. Does anyone in particular want to go first, or should we just do it in clockwise order here?
Mine's usually the quickest, and I have a delivery coming, so I may have to leave early.
Yeah, do it. And then
Hello.
tell us what you ordered.
Hello, I am JB, also known as Drop the Die on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, OnlyFans, everywhere, Patreon. Come join my Patreon. I have like 200 magic items. Zasha's sign out this evening is her underwater in this bikini top that she was wearing in the episode. She still has on the puffy pants and the combat boots, and she's swimming through this dark, murky water. And then suddenly, through this frantic face that she has as she's swimming towards the camera, you see Mattie Jai's enormous face, but it's fish-like and weird, coming behind her with an open mouth and noodles trail out. and the noodles try to wrap around her legs, and she turns and fires this tiny little derringer that shoots a rocket. And when it hits, that's when all the text sparkles on the screen. And then it swipes over to the next person. I also ordered chicken tikka masala because it's my favorite.
Awesome. That sounds so good. Barker, go ahead.
My name is Barker. You can find me at Inspire the Barks on Twitter. And I love playing Mora. And for his final credit scene, you see Mora leaning against this cylinder with a clone of Mora inside. And you just see the light reflecting off of him. And then this just like jolt of color changes, and he shakes his head, and now he's inside the cylinder. And he starts banging on the cylinder walls trying to get out, and outside of it is that other version of him. And it lets out just an evil smirk and turns around and walks away, leaving Mora trapped inside the cylinder.
Oh, that's so good.
And you see a hedgehog like in the corner. If you're pause it and you look in the corner, there's a hedgehog there. It's just chilling.
Just a little Easter egg.
It's a clone hedgehog.
Yes. And Barker didn't shill for himself, but I will shill for him. You should go to patreon.com/inspire the story.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. And I am a patron over there, by the way. Barker puts out amazing content, awesome streams, and cool stuff. You should go check it out. John, go ahead. No. Aaron, go ahead.
Hey, hi. Name's Aaron. Please follow me on Twitter at AaronDVS. Also, please support the last push of this Kickstarter for the mission manual. A lot of great stuff on there that you have seen in this game, and stuff made by people who are in this game, and it's worth your support. I'm having a great time with this game. So my end credit scene is Mattie dressed as a geisha, who is walking through a Japanese manor that is just covered in rice paper doors, sliding through left and right, and kneels down, preparing a tea ceremony for Janus, who is wearing a black kimono and a big straw hat. And just as the tea is served, Janus turns into 1,000 crows, which startles Mattie, who lands on his ass and begins scrambling backwards. And then all of a sudden, there are shadows amongst the rice paper windows, and all of a sudden, bursting out are ninjas. And Mattie is left alone to defend himself with naught but a teapot. And all of the ninjas come forward, stripping off their masks, and they're all other Matties. And he's slowly backed into a corner until all of a sudden they all look at each other, taking each other in through stairs, and they all just begin to kiss. And then at the bottom, we see the theme song for our show, which is of course something that's called like Love Plus Fighting by a band that's called like Super Rock Girls, and that's my credit scene.
Incredible. John, go ahead.
So I'm John. You can catch me on Facebook gaming. I have a channel there called Doombot Gaming where I play video games and stuff. If you would like more RPG stuff, I also have a YouTube channel called Out of Character if you're interested in that kind of thing. For my post-credit scene, I'd like to imagine that the kind of console on our ship that's kind of docked in the middle of the ocean is kind of buzzing, and there's like a hedgehog looking at it, and eventually the buzzing will stop and you get transported through space all the way back to Infernus, where there's like a command station with people, and one of the people turns around and says, "Commander, he's not answering. What should we do?" And you would just see his uncle with like a very serious face, and he'd say, "We have no choice. Just run it. Do it. We'll only get one shot at this." And as they do it, you hear playing throughout all of Infernus and the Palictus system. This is Pax Bastion, and this is my favorite store in Infernus.
Perfect Mass Effect reference. Okay, and finally, last but not least, Matt, go ahead, man.
Hey, I'd like to say, since it's our last game of the year, thank you so much to our GM and to all of my fellow players. This has been a what I thought was going to be like a small but significant light through these hilariously bad times. It's now the thing I look forward to the most every month. So really thankful for this game. It's been badass so far, and happy to close it out. So the Hearthsworn meaty warriors of Infernus are all they claim to be, but they are also gifted crafts people at heart. And you see the small children participating in this as they start to assemble in attempted likeness, breaking off V-fins and shoulder units and hand manipulators and barrels. A model figure that they build from scratch, kit style, in the appearance of each of our protagonist paladins. And finally, as we go through each of them, being highlighted as the kids like narrate each of our strengths and qualities as perceived by the population of Infernus. Obviously, with the Baron being like the God King superhero. But yeah, finally it ends on Tulips and Paladin Rain, and one of the kids says, "Come on, I'm hungry. Let's go back to base." Just like flicks the Paladin Mecha, and it just teeters a bit on its foot, and the Gunpla-esque model just falls into like a stone behind it, and then we cut as the actual newly minted Paladin Rain crashes into the inside of the Tinker System hangar cocoon, blowing an entire section into a wall, like a really lightly, almost like faux walled portion of the upper hangar. As the mech is kind of like crashed into it, exposing this interior of the Okami, Tulip's like climbing over the mech, like all across the arm, until eventually on the fingers she's in this space, and it's a nook. It's Nan's nook. And flashing back to like the first episode, this has all the quality and charm of the rebel at heart Nan who lived in the subterrane that she grew up with in her like tank that she lived in. This nook has all of that and more, and she feels this heartwarming hug of a feeling as she walks in, and she sits down and leans against a wall, and then the lights kick out and there's nothing on the walls. There's nothing in there. It's just a hole busted in the side of the Okami. There's just a single book that's been stored away here. And it's got a little scribble of the shape of a tulip on the front of it. she picks it up. And then we dramatically flash to the next time on Paladins, and you just see like basically 1/15 of each of the frames, ours and the antagonist frames, just like a shoulder, an eye, like yeah, and just like snap, 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 and then 2021. The
I love
Paladin
it.
return.
And we're gonna have
And, yeah.
we have to have a new theme song in the next season too, in traditional anime style.
Mhm.
Yes, this is our grand finale. Yeah, thank you for my my consistent only 2020 campaign.
You are so welcome. Thank you for all of you for joining me. And yeah, this campaign has really been a highlight of my year. It has, like, I don't think I've ever run a non D&D campaign that has not just been like 3 or 4 sessions, like whatever. It's really nice to have like a long running game set in a style and a universe that I don't typically get to explore a lot. So thank you guys. And thank you everyone for watching. As always, definitely check out the Mission Manual Kickstarter. I've got one more game that I'm running this year, and then I'm done for a little while. I'm running a Mecha Hack game this Friday. It's the final Mecha Hack Friday one-shot. I've got Gwen Reed, I've got Keel Adam, I've got Karen Davies, and DJ Hester. It's going to be a great game. I don't know what I'm running yet, but I'm going to do it big as like the finale of my year. So definitely tune in for that. But otherwise, take care, everyone. Happy gaming all, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays.